Hi everybody, greetings from St. Xavier's Catholic College of Engineering. I am Edwin Raj, Professor of Mechanical Engineering Department. Welcome you all for this webinar series on knowing the student psychology and to handle it better. I'll be handling a session on understanding teenagers. Of course, as parents, as mentors, understanding and handling the teenagers is a billion-dollar question without any concrete or concise answers. At the same time, we need to know their psychology so that we can handle them better for their development. And most of my inputs, which I'll be sharing today, are taken from Sister Olive Nagarajan, a counselor and a psychologist based at Bangalore. And I would like to acknowledge her for most of the inputs. Yeah. Today's topic I'll be sharing is understanding today's teen. The objective of my talk today is understanding our teenage as parents, maybe as children's, or as mentors, as teachers, how we handle teenage students. And we need to build them up for their betterment. That is our role. And today's teen, once they enter into teenage, you know that they will behave entirely a different way. It's a transition from childhood to adulthood, and they are full of feelings and emotions, and they are drastically different people altogether. So learning a teenage psychology or understanding a teenage is of course a hectic task. So for example, it is just learning another language of parenting or mentoring a teenage. How do a language? In order to learn a language, it needs a lot of hard work. We need to know the alphabets. Then we need to construct words using the alphabets. Then we have to make sentences, not only sentences, and we should form meaningful sentences. And if somebody gives a meaningful sentence, we need to interpret. So learning a new language, a second language, needs a lot of hard work. Similar way, learning a teenage psychology is also needs a lot of hard work from our side. So parenting or mentoring teens is a stormy and a stressful experience. So it is not an easy one. It is a stormy and a stressful experience as a teacher, as a mentor, and if you are a parent of a teenage children, you will be going through. You ask anybody. I have a daughter who has crossed her teenage, and if you somebody having sons and handling the teenage son is not very easy. It's a stormy and a stressful experience, but we need to sail through it. So there is, they say, of course it is a harder part, as I told, it is learning a language like that. And can you make any guess? There is only one thing they say which is harder than parenting teens in this world. Do you have any idea? Parenting a teen, something which is harder than parenting a teenager or mentoring a teenager is being a teenager. We never looked at them in their shoes. Being a teenager is not very easy. And especially in this century where they are bombarded with media and all sort of knowledge and exposures, being a teenager is not very easy. And it is more than that, harder than the mentoring and parenting aspect of it. So to understand that, I would like to use an analogy. We know that it is a stormy experience, just being in a storm. Recently in our district of Kanyakumari, we came across Ogi. That storm has made a devastating effect on our district. Most of the trees have fallen and most of the electric post has been damaged. Such a stormy experience, mentoring a teenager or being in a teenager, Here, when you look at a storm, the storm has two parts. There is an eye part of it, eye of a storm. It's the center part of it. And they say that, the researchers say that is around 30 to 65 kilometers. And the outer part is called as the eye wall part of it. Eye wall part of it. And I think now you can see this picture at the middle. Middle you can see the eye part of it. And you may think that the eye part will have an intensity will be very high. But actually speaking, you can Google it. You see those who have studied the storm. The eye part of the storm is a calm and very safe place. You need to understand, in this stormy situation or a stressful situation, once we are in the eye part of the storm, the middle of the storm, there is a calm and safe place we have. Of course, the eye wall is a very stormy region where it makes a lot of devastating effect. We can see that in the eye wall part of it. But when you go into the middle part of it, that is a calm and safe place. So I'll be explaining handling the teenagers using this analogy. Okay? Where are they and where are we? Or where are you? Either you are on the eye part of the storm or on the eye wall part of it. In the eye wall part, it will be very stormy. But when you get into this eye part of it, that is one of the safest place. Of course, teenagers, as I told, being a teenager is the hardest thing in this world. And teenagers are caught in a stormy situation. They are, of course, in the eye wall part of it, of the storm, wall part of the storm. As parents and mentors, can we rescue them? Our role is, as teachers, as mentors, as parents, our role is to, if they get caught in this wall part of it, in the stormy region, we have to rescue them. It's a rescue operation. And to take them to the eye part of the storm, where it is calm and safe, where they can understand things in a better way. But my question is, where we are? Are we in the stormy part of the region, or are we in the eye part of the region where there is calm and calmness and composure is there? If we don't have the calmness and composure, we cannot rescue somebody in the wall part of the storm. Most of the teenagers are there, and we need to rescue and take them to the middle of the storm, that is the eye part of the storm, which is a calm and place. Childhood to adulthood is a tough transition. It's not very easy. It's a very tough transition. And a lot of changes are taking place in a very fast phase that we need to understand. The psychology, their emotions, their feelings, their intellectual capacities, and a lot of physiological changes, hormonal changes are taking place in a very fast manner, and they are changing. And accepting this change is not very easy. And they go through this tough transition phase, and we mentors, we matured people need to handle them in a better way. And in most of my talk, I'll be talking about 4 important points here. Why they are in a stormy and a stressful situation. One important thing, the first important thing we need to understand is their mood get disturbed very frequently, basically due to a lot of hormonal changes are taking place in them. The mood disruption from furious to calm to violent, anxious, a lot of mood disruption takes place in them, and mainly due to these hormonal changes that we need to understand. As girls, the female hormones, estrogen started to develop more, and in the boys, the male hormone starts to grow, and you can see sexually they are maturing into a boy and a girl, and that triggers a lot of feelings, leading to a very confused stage they are. Physically, every day they change, they see or they can feel different changes in their life, and they need to handle them. And that make their mood to swing from one, like a pendulum, from positive to negative, and their mood keeps swinging. And you can see that when they change from childhood to adulthood, or especially in the teenage, they may be aggressive immediately. And you can see the shyness comes. And if you say something hard, they will withdraw. These symptoms, you can see that, and mainly we should understand it. It is all, role is, there is a lot of hormonal changes are taking place in them. And this mood disruption is quite normal, quite normal. My point today is, are we able to understand and accept them? This is their psychology. This is happening because of the hormonal changes. And we need to accept them as they are. Accept their emotions. Accept their anxiousness. Accept their mood swing from one end to the other end. Then only we can handle them in a better way. Say, for example, physically, boys will start to develop muscles, and they wanted to show to the world that they are strong. They go to, they do a lot of exercises, they go to the gym, and they wanted to build their muscles. And slowly, mustache will start coming, and they feel different way. Girls, they can see, or girls and boys, they can see acne develop, and they'll be in front of the mirror. And I always say that boys would not have seen the comb, but now once they come into the teenage, they started to stand in front of the mirror. And girls, of course, they will do a lot of things. That is natural. You should accept. They are getting as an adult. They are moving into the adulthood. They are the teenagers. These are all the things it happens. They wanted to look fair, and that is why the market is going on. Even the boys are buying the fair and handsome. I don't know how it works. They keep on telling, but we cannot see real changes. But still, they sell and they buy. They are beauty conscious. They are beauty conscious. A lot of changes are taking place. And psychologically, their identity is challenged. And they know, they started to question themselves, am I normal? Because a lot of changes every day, physically, hormonally, it is taking place. And they started to question themselves, am I normal? Am I ready? Am I a cool person? And the major question they would like to ask themselves is whether I am liked by others, people can trust me, or can I trust somebody? What do I want? All confusion take place in this age. And basically, you should understand, what do others think about myself? That is a big question these youngsters will be asking about themselves. What others think about myself? Others' opinion matters a lot for them. And they work for that. And they work for that. That we should understand. Sexual attraction with opposite gender is quite normal. If it doesn't happen, I think they need to see a doctor. But this is very natural in this age of teenage. And we need to channelize them because they get into a lot of troubles in this area. And as I told in my introductory part of it also, being a teenager in this media saturated world is not very easy. And we need to help them. And they look up to us for a calm, gentle, and caring approach. They looked up to us as parents, as mentors. The calmness and gentleness, caring, loving approach. That is why I wanted to repeatedly ask, are we in the I part of the storm or on the I wall part of the storm? Unless otherwise you are in the I part of the storm, you cannot rescue somebody got in the storm. Because otherwise we will be carried away. Otherwise we will be carried away. This is very, very important. So why they behave like that is, the first thing is, a lot of mood disruption takes place because of hormonal changes. And the support and guidance is very much needed for them in this age. Without judgmental attitude. This is very, very important. I wanted to underline that. Don't judge them. Hey, what you are doing? You are like that. What you have done it? Are you a big person? Don't question them. Don't question them. Because they behave in a different way, but we need to accept and accommodate them. We should know there are psychological changes are taking place and we need to channelize them. Instead, if you just bombard them the whole psychology way, we will lose them as parents, as mentors. So don't be judgmental because of their behavior. This is very, very important. Because they are full of emotions and feelings and it will get disturbed. And the second important thing, why they are in the stormy situation or a stressful situation as teenagers is, peer pressure is very high. Peer pressure is very, very high for them. Say for example, so far maybe in the schools, our perspective is how we handle them as first years, isn't it? First years, they will be coming at the age of 16, 17 years old. So far, they were under the control of teachers, school teachers, parents, exams. But once they come to the college and they have a lot of extracurricular activities and at the same time exams, internal exams, this and that, and they have to do of their own, and then they get confused. They think that it is too high for them because it's a transition. So far, straight away instructions and they will do it. Now they have to study of their own, a lot of things as engineering students. So another important thing is they look at the activities of the other peers, what other students are having, especially they look at the affluent students, the way they dress, the dress materials they are wearing. Say for example, boys, what is the bike he is using? Is it KTM or R15 or Harley Davidson? And if somebody is having, they wanted to have that one. Now the mobile is a very dangerous attraction. What is it model you have it? Apple, iPhone, costly mobiles. These all put pressures on them. Then they started to feel, we don't have it. My parents cannot afford to buy it. Can they accept it that if I'm not able to have that one, that doesn't matter. In that age, they cannot accept it that way. Because they are full of emotions and feelings. So the activities and what the gadgets the peers are having, that will put a burden on them, effect on them. Stress is good, but within a limit. That they call it as eustress. Eustress is a positive stress. For studies and other things, if the fellow students are studying well, that put a pressure on them so that they will also study well. That is on the positive side. But if it goes beyond their handling, it becomes a distress. And there only our intervention is very important. Whether how they handle the stress, is it becoming a distress? That is very important. We just look at the outside behavior of a teenager. I wanted to tell it is just a tip of an iceberg. We couldn't understand why they behave like that. We need to realize why they behave like that. That is very important. We just look at their outside behavior and we are getting into judgmental. We put a lot of questions. What they have done it, what they have achieved. Don't look at that way. It's just a tip of the iceberg, their outside behavior. I'll show you, there's an iceberg. Iceberg is only a small portion is visible. Observable portion is very small. That is the behavior we see. Most of them is how they have formed inside. There are a lot of beliefs, value systems, thinking, emotions. So these things, we need to strengthen them. It's all developing, the value system, thinking, emotions in the teenagers. And our role is very important to have them the sound belief, value system, thinking, and emotional aspects. We just look at the behavior. That's the tip of an iceberg. Understand, there are a lot of invisible things in them. And as mentors, as parents, we need to develop the invisible part of a teenager. That is our role. That is our role. God has given to us. How we handle peer pressure of teenagers. Basically, I am saying, if you are not gentle, if you are not loving, if you are not caring, and I'll say, if you are not talking to them the truth, heart, They look for honesty. And if it is not there in us, we lose our authority, authenticity, we will lose it. And we cannot influence them for good. So very, very important part of it is, are we gentle, loving and caring? Then only we can have the authority and authenticity to correct them in a better way. When they are not able to cope up with the curriculum, say for example, most of them when they come into the college, from the school to the college, they find it very difficult to study of their own. And the stuff which is given here in the college seems to be heavy for them. And some of them may be struggling a bit. How we are going to help them? Are we going to give them confidence? Yeah, you can do it like that. Or we will put them further into discouragements. Let us not do that. Let us give them confidence. Teenagers can do it. And it has to be done with a gentle, loving care. Gentle, loving care is the bottom line of developing an youngster. Because stress response hormone is there, cortisol, that does a lot of body functions. If we are not gentle, it creates a lot of anxiety, depression, headaches, heart disease, and a lot of problems. The stress, if it is in the negative stress, if it goes into the negative level, then they will go through a lot of anxieties and depression issues. And we need to handle very carefully. What is our role is, can we make them feel free at college, as parents at home? Then we can rescue them from the stormy part of the storm to the eye part of the storm, where there is calmness. There is calmness. That is our role God has given to us. The third thing is, this is also we need to understand very carefully. The teenagers are in a strong and stressful situation. Their brain is under construction. It is not a fully developed brain. The brain is under construction. That we need to understand. The internal architecture of the brain has so many neurons. Number of neurons is 400 billion. That is 4,000 crores neurons connections. And it is getting rewired during adolescence. It is rewired. It is strengthened. And say, for example, there are 400 billion. The world population is only 7.8 billion. But in a brain, there are 400 billion neurons. And it is rewired during adolescence. And we need to help them. And the emotion center of the brain is amygdala. The amygdala is very active in teenage. That is why they are a super emotional being. This amygdala is an emotional center of the brain that will be very active in teenagers, not like us adults. So we need to be very careful. The logic part of the brain is the prefrontal region. Prefrontal region is the logic part of the brain, where we reason it and find solution. This part of the brain for a teenager is not developed, fully matured. It is under construction. We need to understand that. You can see, Google it, and you can see it, any photographs, if you see how the brain develops. And the last thing to develop or mature is the prefrontal area. This prefrontal portion is the one which is the logical part of the brain, reasoning part of the brain, where we analyze and take out a concluding, and we'll try to conclude a better decision. So this part of the brain takes time to develop. For a teenager, it has not developed fully, whereas the amygdala part, emotion part of it is very active. Because the executive functions will be taken in the prefrontal region. That only can measure the long-term consequences, and that one can only control the impulses, emotional things. But I found most of we faculties also, whether it has been developed or not, I don't know. We also go into the stormy region, like a teenager. We are also behaving. We couldn't control our impulses. So as a teenagers, this prefrontal region has not developed fully, and we need to be mindful of that as they are expressing their emotions, their ways. how to handle them. They cannot understand reason very easily. You can explain the reasons, hey, you should not behave like that, but they cannot understand your solutions. So what we can do it is, only way is our pleasing attitude, our facial expression, body languages. I have been in teaching line for more than 2.5 decades, 25 years of experience. I have seen if I smile in the class, then they will listen to it. If I scold it and I put them in a tight situation, then that 1 hour lecture is a waste. That I have experienced. I think everyone would have experienced that way. Yeah, put a smile on your face. Let your words be very pleasing. And your body language, let it tell that you are for them. You are there to help them out. That will change their world. And they will move to the high part of the storm, where calmness is there. So that is very important. Our tone is very, very important. If you started to yell it, shout it, that's all gone. Let us not do it. As teachers, mentors, let us not do it. Our languages and the words, very, very important. It should be very soft, and it should be short also, to the point. And I'll put it there, it is always undergirded with love. Even if you wanted to send a student out of the class, don't say that, get out. That is a very hard and yelling words. Instead, you can say, dear students, can you please go out? Dear student, can you please go out? If you tell it with smile, they will understand it. Their emotional part of the brain will only understand the language of love. If you are harsh, then we are losing them. They should feel good to listen to us. And there, our role is very, very important. Take these words. Calm and composed, concise words is very, very important. In Tamil, they say, Rathna Churukamai, Anbal Saramettapata Varthaigal Nammuடைய வாயிலிருந்து வர வேண்டும். A calm and composed, concise words will build the teenagers. When they will understand, when you give some instructions, their teenage brain will just analyze it, whether it is safe to accept it or it will consider it as a threat. If it is a threat, it will reject. If it is safe, that is a two-way the message will be accepted. Either it is a safe message or a threat. The emotional center of the brain, amygdala, will send a lot of signals across the brain to assess our instructions are the safe or a threat. If it is threat, defense mechanism will immediately be activated. Their adrenal, the blood rush will be there. Then they will move towards the fighting mode, or they will freeze and they will not respond to anything, or in a flight mode, in a mobile. That is the way they will respond. So we have to be very careful that when we say some instructions, the message should be taken in a safe mode. For that, are we considerate? There is imposed, empathy is there, composed and polite. Then only our message will be received by them. So all our message should be undergirded with love. Then, of course, they can accept our directions. If we make our students to go through fear, anxious, and shame, we cannot mold them for good. Sometimes we may lose them. We have to be very careful. Let us not create a fear or anxiousness or shame to the teenagers. Our words is very, very important. Don't use harsh words. Let it be undergirded with love, smile, politeness, pleasing. That is very, very important. Our body language, our facial expressions matters to them. They should feel that they belong to us. It's very important. And the last part of it is they are in a stormy region because there will be a lot of conflicts with parents and mentors the teenagers will go through in their home and in the college. And that is why the stormy regions. How to handle them? Again, repeatedly I'm saying, where we are is very important. We should be in the high part of the storm. If you are in the stormy region, we cannot handle them. We cannot handle them. So when you are in the high part of the storm, we can pull them from the stormy region of wall so that they can feel safe. Yelling, shouting leads to more shouting. Emotion is emotions, energy in motions. We have to be careful about it. Small feelings can grow into a hatred. That is very dangerous. And especially I wanted to use as mentors, as parents, as teachers. Don't curse them. It is very dangerous. Avoid it at any cost. Don't be judgmental. You are like that. Why you went there? Don't ask questions with preconceived ideas. That becomes very judgmental. We are. Remember, brain has a library of memories. It will store. The adult has a library of memories where it can be stored as audio files and video files, and it will be there for long, lifelong. Handle the conflicts very carefully. Harsh words stirs up anger. That's what Proverbs says. Fathers, don't exasperate your children so that they will not lose heart. That exasperate means irritating, frustrating. That will break the heart of the child. Especially ladies, especially mothers. Please don't intensively irritate and frustrate our teenagers. We have to handle them with care. What are we called to provide? What are we called to provide as teachers, as parents? There are 5 basic needs. I'll take only 5 minutes more. There are 5 basic needs. Survival is food, shelter, and clothing. Most of the parents will provide. Not only that, that is a very basic, of course. They have other needs that we need to realize. If we don't provide those basic needs of a teenagers, we cannot empower them. Apart from the survival needs, love and belongings. Once they feel that they are loved, they belong to this college, they belong to this teacher, they belong to this class, that will liberate them. That will give them a sense of security, joy, and encouragement, and they will just enjoy being here in this college. So let us give them the feeling of being loved and let them belong to us. And the third part of it is everyone loves to be respected. They will feel powerful once they are respected and when they are acknowledged for their achievement. Sometimes we acknowledge the best student or an average student. But we need to be careful with slow learners also. They have their own potential. They might not have shown in the marks, but still they have a lot of better things than others. So we need to respect and acknowledge them also. They should feel good and being appreciated and administered. And we have to boost their self-esteem. Then they will have a sense of identity, who they are. And they will. Freedom is a very misused word. Every youngsters would like to have, but we need to teach them. Freedom is not without restriction. Freedom is within boundaries. Freedom within boundaries that we need to teach them. Freedom is empowering them and allowing them to make choices. If they make choices, and we have to educate them that they take responsibilities. So we should give freedom for them to make choices and to take responsibilities. Autonomy is freedom within boundaries. It is not without boundaries. So this is also their basic needs. And as teachers, in the class, in the college, are we giving the freedom of making choices so that they can take responsibilities? It's very important. And fun and enjoyment is a part of every humans. Everybody needs fun and enjoyments. Are we providing to the youngsters? Are we providing to the teenagers? Let them enjoy, let them fun, let them have laughter, let them have groups and let them just laugh louder, let them play, let them enjoy the pleasure. That is very important for them. I'd like to close it. I have told a lot of things, what we need to understand it. Finally, I talked about the basic needs we need to provide. Teenage brain is very delicate, fragile. Handle it with care, just like a glass. We can break it. But it is under construction. It is not fully developed. Especially the prefrontal region of the brain for the teenagers is to be developed. That prefrontal region is the logic of the brain. It takes time. Let us help them. We need to be calm and composed and concise in our words, and we should be always in the eye part of the storm. Then only we can pull those who are got into the storm with love, undergirded with love. This is the approach we have to give to the students, and that's the role God has given to us. Let us do that prayerfully.